This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live 100 feet from the Gulf of America. Here are your award-winning social media superstars, the hosts of Beach Talk Radio, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's today. We appreciate your coming out on a hot Sunday morning for our Sunday brunch with the mayor. And before we have the mayor come on and our special guest for today, for the fourth time now.
Hey, can you announce that there's a lot of people here? Like, are we too loud for the people that
Is it too loud for anybody? Should we turn the volume down? Okay, I could turn mine down. She loves when you say that, Tom, that I need to turn mine down.
How about that? How's that, guys? Is that good?
Very funny. So for the fourth time, and I don't know, leave it. I have to be able to. Tom has control of the volume there. For the fourth time in like 3 months, nobody showed up to open the gym. Again, at Crunch Fitness, for the fourth time, there's like 10 of us standing out front. Like,
but you know, you're the ding dong that keeps paying and patronizing a place that doesn't open.
The thing
Stop paying your bill.
The thing is, they have multiple locations, and one is close to our house that I go to during the week that I can't. And LA Fitness is closed for they're rehabilitating the place or whatever you call it, refurbishing the place. So we go to Planet Fitness, and now the son-in-law meets me every Sunday to work out. So we go to Planet Fitness, which is right around the corner here. And I ran into Eric Jackson, who's the PIO on Sanibel, and I ran into Nello.
Oh, yeah.
Nello used to work for the town. He was one of the ticket writers back in the Nazi days here on Fort Myers Beach. But he was a nice guy. So I ran into him, and he just got his
gym memberships do you have now?
3. I have 3.
That's excessive.
Yeah. And how many do you have?
I have 0.
Okay. I tried to get her to go the other day. I got her a day
pass.
pass.
But if you want to challenge me to a push-up contest or anything, go right
dear.
ahead.
You totally embarrass yourself.
I don't need a gym to stay in shape. You do.
So what was the other thing? Oh, the other thing is we had another business meeting.
Thank you so much.
We had another business meeting on Friday that unfortunately Dawn wasn't there because she was at Disney. And we've got.
They left the island,
right? We had a little chat this morning.
I didn't know a golf cart would go all the way to Orlando, Don.
Good one, dear. Thank you. The idea that we're working on now is a mullet festival. There's going to be a mullet festival in July, and there's a mullet committee meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2:00.
I'm neither cutting my hair or eating that.
Can you
fish.
imagine if she really took one for the team and cut her hair into a mullet?
No
that
way.
would really be promoting Fort Myers
way.
Beach. Mike is going to be the first one. So there'll be more details on that. And we came up with another great idea, just sitting here watching television because there's no sports on right now except for tennis. They have this adult, I don't know what town that was in, but they have this adult big wheel relay race. And we could do it on Old San Carlos. We could do it right out here. The start line could be here.
Wait, what was it? An
adult? It was a double elimination, 4-person team, adult big wheels. Relay
big
race
wheels.
On big wheels.
Oh, like the big wheels from back in the day,
yes,
or like
yes.
those big balls where you get inside and you roll.
Well, that would be funny too. No, the big wheels. So
wouldn't that be funny on the beach? Those big inflatable balls.
I'm not buying the insurance for that one though. That sounds like it could be trouble. No,
I'd get him in one and push it right out into the Gulf.
I knew that was coming.
Right in a rip current. Bye. Bye.
So we're gonna get the big wheels. When I go home today, I'm going to put the special events permit in, and we're going to do it in August and see if we can do it. And we're going to do it to raise money. Huh? Yeah, I already priced it. I'm not going to tell you how much they cost, but we'll get sponsors for it. So don't you think that'll be fun?
I like that better.
Okay, good. So that's coming up. So plenty of ideas we're throwing around on Friday night, and we'll be telling you all about them in the weeks to come.
It's going to be in the summer?
August. We're going to do it in August. Yeah.
I'm getting an umbrella.
All right. let's get to our
Not
interview.
too far in the beginning. We got stuff we got to do.
We have Dan, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers, coming over, and also our special guest today, folks, is Elizabeth Fountain.
Pull that back.
Elizabeth is an engineer, and she's been actually talking to the town and other businesses on Fort Myers Beach about the wave mitigation wall. And this wave mitigation wall is very important that everybody understands what it is, what it could do, and maybe get involved somehow. So come on down, Elizabeth, and we'll make
Marie.
sure. Marie, we might need to move
Can
it
you pull
back,
that
the whole
back?
thing back a little, and we just got to turn you up
There
there,
you go.
Dan. And
I
I know,
want to touch your board there, getting kicked off the show.
perfect, Marie, perfect.
You got
Jeez,
enough-
twice this weekend we've seen you and had you on the show.
Hi, well,
We'll talk about beach issues in the second half of the
Sure.
show. But Elizabeth, tell everybody a little bit about your background. We've actually known each other for years. Elizabeth was one of the first members of our gym in Gateway when we opened the gym.
That never didn't open.
That's right. The
Angie,
backup
isn't that where you
the
went
backup
too?
plan for the gym was
Right,
I would
Jim?
give somebody a key in case I overslept or something. They had a key or they knew where to find a key so they can go in and turn the lights on. All it is turning the lights on. Nobody's going to walk out with a leg machine, for crying out loud.
And setting an alarm clock, evidently.
Right. So, Elizabeth, tell everybody a little bit about your background and who you are.
Well, thanks. Thank you for having me here, Ed. I really appreciate the opportunity. So Elizabeth Fountain, I am Senior Vice President with J.R. Evans Engineering. We are a local civil engineering firm, but we also focus on anything to do with water resources, including coastal and riverine floodplains. We are a group of certified floodplain managers and coastal engineers. So we've been working in the area since 1999. That's how long I've been here. And I've worked at other engineering firms, but J.R. Evans Engineering started in 2010. And we are happy to be a part of the restoration and rebuilding process for Fort Myers Beach.
I bet there's a lot of math and engineering, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Something you're
Well,
out
Jared,
on
I mean,
that
you're
one.
you're off
out
to a
on that one.
flying start with the insults
That's because
today.
yesterday you got 2 in before the show really even started. So
All
I
right.
got lots to make up
We're
for.
trying to be serious today.
Where
dear.
did you go to school?
University of Tennessee.
Nice.
Nice. So one of
Since Andy's not here, go Vols.
Go Vols.
So one of the things we've talked about this before, one of the things that the previous town councils didn't approve because it hadn't really been hit with the storm was something that Margaritaville wanted to put in a long stretch of a wave mitigation wall that would have kind of helped out, especially in Times Square. Go ahead, Dan. What was that? What was that
Yeah,
proposal?
the whole idea really started with now TPI, or it was Grand Resorts. When they came through, it was called the Coastal Construction Wall, is what they were calling it, and they had actually went through the entire process of getting it. It was permit ready. It didn't make it through into what we see now, but they're the ones that had really. So they reached out and actually gave me the plans and gave me all the things, and that's why I've been kind of pushing on it for quite a few years. And obviously, now that Hurricane Ian has hit, we could see how much that would have been very beneficial to the town had that been in place, and they were going to pay for it.
At the time, why do you recall why it didn't go through? Because it seems, I mean, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
However, we've seen lots of storms before Ian. So
Well, I honestly can't really. That would probably be a better question for Tom and John to be able to answer exactly why that didn't go through. My guess is probably because it was encompassed in the whole project itself. And Grand Resorts as a project really went over like a lead balloon. When
Okay.
they unleashed that, people in the community said absolutely not. And I think once it went back to the drawing board, I think that just was one of the things that had to come out.
But it wasn't
Okay.
just in front of Margaritaville, where Margaritaville is now. It was how long was it?
It was going to span. If memory serves me, it's been a while since I looked at it, but I want to say up towards Best Western and then down towards where the old Mermaid kind of area was.
Okay.
If memory serves me, it was going to be a significant.
Sounds like almost a mile, right?
I don't know if it would have been that
No,
far, but
no.
it was significant.
Yeah.
But that would have saved Times Square
Yeah.
more. I mean, there still would have been damage, obviously, but it would have knocked the waves down. And Elizabeth could probably testify to this more than I could. That there would have been flooding and there would have been certainly damage, but the velocity wouldn't have been there to tear the buildings down like it did.
Can you explain what a wave mitigation wall is, how big it is, how deep it goes, how high it is?
and
Yes.
how much does it cut off that impact from the waves?
Exactly. So the purpose of these structures is to basically provide an interference with the wave action coming onto the shore. So it's just like when you've got lower level waves that are coming up on the beach, they're breaking on the beach because the ground is raising in elevation. It's the same principle, but we're dealing with much higher water levels and much higher waves. So you need a little bit more of a structural supported elevation to really knock down those waves to a level that's not as impactful as a wave that's 3 feet or higher above the normal still water elevation. And so basically our goal is to design these structures so that they'll survive during the 100-year storm and then knock the waves down to be less than 3 feet in height. So it really lessens the damage and lessens the wave force that's coming towards the building.
So a big wave comes in, hits that, and then what goes over the top of it is just 3 feet.
It's lesser. It's much less.
But how high up is the wall above the sand?
From 3 to 4 feet. So
Okay.
these aren't very high walls. We're not talking 6-8 foot high
it's not
structures.
like
These
a
are very
moat
low,
thing.
like knee walls basically, but they're designed in a way to withstand those 100-year wave forces. And we actually completed a couple of projects down at Bonita Beach for those condominiums along Hickory Boulevard. And those wall improvement projects were done before Ian, and then they survived the onset of Ian without any damage.
So did you already say how thick they are?
So it's typically the walls are made of like either a sheet pile wall that's driven into the ground to a depth that needs to occur to make sure that it's going to stay in place. And then we usually put a concrete cap on them. And that concrete cap width can vary, but typically it's about a 2 to 3 foot wide concrete cap that's reinforced.
And how deep do you think on average would it go?
Anywhere from 10 to 20 feet deep.
So if I own a piece of property, say a house on Fort Myers Beach, what would it cost me to have that wall installed in my spot?
From based on our projects, it's anywhere from, it could be $750 a linear foot to $1,000. It just depends on the makeup of the structure.
So I have no idea what that means. So 1,000
Per linear foot.
Okay.
So if you had 100 linear feet, it'd be
Well, what's a
75.
linear foot? Like
1 foot.
1
12
foot.
inches.
1
A
foot
line.
So, okay. So if I have 10 feet of property on the beach, it's going to cost me $10,000.
Well, it could be 7,500.
7,500.
Okay. Well, that's not horrible, especially if it's going to help save my house. One of the things
Well, I think that's important to go into is
Yeah.
the benefits of the cost savings that you would get in return for it. So it's an investment, but you definitely get a return on your investment.
If someone were to do it just in front of their house, what about the water that comes around the side?
You're
Problem.
the engineer. I'm letting you do this.
that's a problem.
So actually we designed these structures so that we take into consideration surface water flow on the landward side of it, right? So we have to make sure that we provide enough drainage so that it can get back out to the Gulf without impacting the wall itself or the properties adjacent to it. So we purposely make sure the design accommodates those potential impacts, and that the walls actually have drainage holes that come through to allow that hydrostatic relief of the drainage behind it.
So there's little holes in the walls, so some of that water can
Yes.
Well,
sort of like a colander kind of thing.
And then
Okay.
if you can also design it to where even if you don't have a continuous wall, that's okay, because we've done it where we've had breaks in the wall and it allows for the drainage, the surface
Yeah.
water flow to get out.
And I think there's a
Sufficiently.
misconception, and please, Elizabeth, tell me if I'm wrong, but people think that because there's going to be let's say in your case, you had a mitigation wall, but each of your neighbors didn't on either side. The water doesn't divert around. It just breaks the wave so that the wave action going straight over the top of it is not as aggressive. The water is still going to go around the wall.
Right.
It's not going to like all of a sudden that property's not going to get water.
It's not, it's not like
It's not a
it's a
diversion.
confined.
It's not a waterproof
It's not like
situation.
it's a confined river or stream that only has a very limited amount of space to go. It's the whole Gulf is rising, right?
Yes.
So it's going to cover
Yes.
adjacent properties at the same time.
So somehow the physics of it's helping to alleviate part of the storm surge and the violence of the storm surge.
Yes.
So
The violence that happens under the water you can't see. That's where all the energy is. It's underneath.
Yes.
So when that lower part of the wave hits that mitigation wall, that's what it breaks up. It breaks that up so that the water that continues on is just a flood.
Yeah.
It's a much lower impact.
So Elizabeth,
We need a video.
the town, yeah, no kidding.
sure
That would
there
be
are
great
plenty
to
of them out
have.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the town had some issues with getting 100% of the people to buy into. Thank you, to buy into the easement for the berm.
Yes.
So I imagine maybe it wouldn't be hard to get 100% buy-in. That would be nice. But so if there was already a wave mitigation wall from Bowditch to Big Carlos Pass, what would the difference have been from Hurricane Ian?
I believe it could have saved a lot of just the destruction to those existing structures and buildings that are on the ground, those ground level uses. Down in Bonita, after Ian, we visited the properties at the condominiums, and where the wall improvement existed, you could see there was a stark difference in the amount of scarring and damage to the columns and the structure of the condominium building compared to where there wasn't a wall improvement.
Mhm.
And there was less material, less sand disturbed on the backside of the wall than there was without the wall.
Now, when an event like Ian comes in, it's still going to be the amount of water that comes in is still going to be significant for flooding. It's just that the wave, the destruction that occurs on those front homes isn't going to be as bad.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess the simplest way to put it is when Ian came, you saw the hardest hit properties were the ones
Right.
along, and the further you got to the back bay, the
Right.
less and less and less there was still flooding, but there wasn't that
Right.
devastation of it coming down. This
Right.
is essentially that first line of defense for the properties.
Right. You're still
And it
going to get
makes it-
flooding, but you're not going to
Yes.
get that
Yeah, it's not going to eliminate
houses
flooding.
going into the back bay situation.
And the intent of this is to be complementary to what, the beach nourishment project and the vegetation.
So I don't
Planting,
jump. I
yes.
want to ask you about the
Okay.
vegetation, but let's say still one more question. If the beach had a wave mitigation wall, there was so much damage even on the other side of Estero Boulevard from the storm surge from the water. Could that have protected
No.
the houses on the other side of Estero because you're blocking all that violence of the storm surge or not? Or if there was so much water, wouldn't have mattered.
Ian was a pretty historic event. It may have lessened the extent of the waves getting to those properties,
But the water still would have been.
but I think
Yeah.
the surge is still there.
Gotcha.
And, this is not to stop that. It's to dissipate, mitigate the damage.
Are you guys going to put a wave mitigation wall? You have a, I'm sorry? Yeah. They
Oh.
just built a brand new house on the beach and lost their
They
house in
I
the
didn't,
think-
storm.
they
I
didn't
think if
build
what-
a house. They built a
Yeah,
they
built
castle.
it. Very
and I think
nice
what you
house.
saw,
Okay.
people,
That's
to
right.
your
Good.
point,
That's
Ed, it was, we were struggling. I shouldn't say struggling, but not everybody was on board with doing the easement for the,
Yeah.
For the emergency berm. But then once we got Helene and Milton, the phone started ringing.
Okay. Do you
It's
think
like-
you have 100% now?
I don't think we have 100%. I don't know that you'd ever get 100%, but I think the questions that we've asked Elizabeth and her firm is that's okay if you don't get 100% because they'll design around that
Yeah.
to ensure that the water flows back out the way that it's
So, and can you create a wave mitigation wall that also serves as a boardwalk for bikes and walkers
Yes.
and get people off Estero Boulevard to bike and walk?
Yes.
Wow, that's a whole.
And they'd be able to do their e-bikes on there now too, right?
Well,
good segue.
again, I always
Yeah.
refer to the Clearwater one because if you go to Clearwater, you would think it was built just to be decoration. You wouldn't realize that it's actually what we're discussing.
Yeah.
When you walk by it, if you didn't know it was a mitigation wall and it was there to protect the buildings, you would think it was just a nice little boardwalk that had a very low wall that had
How
And
wide
we've
is it?
seen some
It's
other
only
good
about-
boardwalks
it's only
come
about
out
foot
of
and a half,
this
foot and a half.
But
situation.
people walk on it. Does
No,
it have-
no. That's
Oh,
the part
okay.
that
It's a
sticks
sitting
above,
area.
That's the part that
It's-
sticks above
Oh,
the
okay.
ground.
People use
okay.
it for sitting.
Gotcha.
And this
Sit
could
on
be
it
used in
or-
the same way.
Gotcha.
It works with the pedestrian corridor of that area
I
up
see.
there.
I see. So one of the things I think people are going to be real interested to hear about is you are working with the Outrigger property, the London Bay folks,
Yes.
on putting.
Both of them or just the one?
Isn't London Bay Outrigger?
And
Well, yeah, but they
Charlie's.
also they
and
have.
Charlie's.
Oh.
But then they
And
also have
Sandpiper.
Sandpiper.
Oh, okay. So you're working. Whoa.
You need to check your britches.
See you
Holy
later,
crap.
Dave.
Dave Lockwood's leaving the house.
Dave
everybody.
Lockwood has
Was that
left.
Dave?
Yeah.
That is a what was that? A
Corvette.
Corvette. That's what you can buy when you knock down buildings like he does. So you're working with London Bay on the Outrigger property, which will allow them to put bathrooms on the ground floor. So explain what that project might be about. Is it going to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've designed the wave mitigation wall. We are at the final stages of permitting with FEMA, because the whole purpose of
Good luck.
this wall is to be able to effectuate a revision to the flood zone from the V zone to a AE zone, which is less riskier zone. But that also opens the flexibility for what you can do as far as construction and building type uses. And so this would allow them to be able to honor the public commitment of doing public restrooms, on a lower level, and not have to have them elevated 10 or 12
You could
feet in
essentially
the air.
build this.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So,
Essentially.
So does that go for wherever that wave mitigation wall is? It changes it from a V zone?
Wait, Dan. There's a kitchen there's a kitchen on the ground floor here. Would that be allowed at the Outrigger? Permanent kitchen on the ground floor?
Well, I don't know what the flood zone is here, but
Okay.
but this is dry flood proof. Just
outside of the DEP coastal construction control line,
Okay. So they couldn't really build this with a kitchen on the ground floor
not
if they put a wall in.
not there. No.
Okay. So go ahead, dear. Sorry.
So if you put the wave mitigation wall in front of your house, it takes it from the V zone to the AE zone, and then there's other things that you can do?
Yeah, yes, you would have more flexibility about what you could have on the lower level, like storage and things like that. And it also may help you get some benefit on your insurance.
That's my next
Yes.
question. Yeah.
Yes.
So you might get that.
Yes.
You might.
So it is a separate process. You have to go through FEMA, and that's why these
And
systems.
FEMA likes all the mitigation stuff, right?
These systems are, they become certified structures.
There goes Howie. Less loud.
Howie. Yeah, he doesn't knock down buildings.
not a Corvette.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
Elizabeth,
okay.
let's say Terry 50-story hotel Prasad and Brad and Terry 50-story home Prasad want to build a wave mitigation wall in Times Square. How does
Yes.
that change what could be built there now compared to after the wall?
They could have enclosed space, not, they're still seaward of the coastal construction control line, but they would be able to not have to have completely open air uses.
Okay.
You could have some enclosed spaces. They could have restrooms as long as they were flood proofed.
Okay. So basically your kitchens still need to be on the second floor because they're
Yes.
so close to the water.
Yes.
Like Margaritaville. They've
Right.
got their bathrooms on the lower level, but their kitchens are upstairs.
Right. So you've been to the town council, I think twice now, at least maybe LPA once in town. You've been there, and you also you've worked for the Moss Marina project.
Yeah.
You're part of
yes, we are
that
yes,
team there.
yes.
And so are they building some kind of, or is that a different type of work you're doing there?
Different type of
Okay,
work.
gotcha. So the town only owns a certain amount of property. Crescent, that's it, right? You only own Crescent on the beach.
They don't own Crescent.
Well, you
No,
own
we
a
don't own
park.
Crescent.
You own a
The
park,
county.
sorry. You
Newton
own
Park.
No, sorry. You own
Yeah.
Newton.
Newton Park.
That's
yeah.
really the only place you could put a wall, the town.
Technically, yeah.
So having Elizabeth come and explain that, is it so that
It's
you could get
beneficial.
word out to the developers and business owners?
Well, I
and-
think the developers are already aware of it. If you just listen to Outrigger,
Yeah.
if you've watched any of our meetings, anybody that's building on the beach, we've talked to them. I haven't spoken to one person that's developing on the beach that isn't interested in doing this because it protects them
Yeah.
as much as it protects everybody else. So I think you're going to see a lot of buy-in in that. I talked with the people that own the Wyndham down there. Obviously, that's something they would be. And there's homeowners that I'm sure would be wanting to protect their investment that they just put back into it. So, ideally, the reason I keep saying the whole island is because is that ever going to happen? Probably not. But when you set up to do something, everybody knows in construction, if you set up and you mobilize once and you do it, it's much cheaper than jumping.
Right.
Is there any way to get grant funding for
Sure.
for a private property owner or no?
That I don't know.
So it would only be for Newton that you could get funding
Not
for.
necessarily. I bet there's some sort of money out there you could go find if it was, because once you get the easement, then you've got to maintain it.
Gotcha.
So if everybody doesn't, but if people didn't sign, consecutive people, that would sort of
you want to
not
have it all
bode
the way.
well for the boardwalk component of things either.
I mean,
If people are walking, but if they got to take their bike down in the sand.
Well, you could always Moby mat it or something in between it. I mean,
can you also say this is a public safety issue and you eminent domain a part of that property?
Get out of here.
I mean, it really. Don't you think after what happened with Hurricane Ian, you have a decent case? I certainly don't want to take property rights away from people, but can you imagine a mitigation wall from one end of the island to the other that turns into a walking boardwalk?
I think if people just go back and look at how the emergency berm, the people that had it didn't get water from Helene. The people that didn't, I mean, you could drive down Estero Boulevard and without even knowing there was an emergency berm, you could tell what places didn't have it because Estero Boulevard was full of sand.
Mhm.
So you could tell who had it and who didn't. So when Milton hit and it was even worse, then people are like, well, it's not meant to stop everything. It's meant to help mitigate it. And this would be an added benefit. And you haven't gotten to the part where it would work in conjunction with the sand, the emergency berm, as well as the vegetation.
Yeah. So if you eminent domain, 7 miles of beach, can you get grant funding for the entire wall, Elizabeth?
Well,
I think there are programs out there.
Who said that? Who doesn't want a wall? Jamie doesn't want a wall? I got you. Well, I guess having a boardwalk on private property, I got you. All right, that makes sense. Nobody wants people biking and walking in their backyard. I get it.
That was
that
the
makes
question
sense.
I had for you,
That makes
Elizabeth,
sense.
is how
I never thought of that.
How far you can go up to the
Shocking.
coastal construction line probably? Can you
The
go
setback
past it?
line.
Yeah.
I think we would be able to work with DEP on exceeding that because it's not like a vertical building. It's not it's not an actual structure.
How you doing? Thank
And
you.
it is a more of a protection feature
I
for
got
the
you.
upland properties.
That makes sense now. You don't want, because there are a lot of homes.
Well, not everybody's going to sign off on it, but I
Yeah.
bet you. I bet that's why we're talking about it now. So hopefully we can get the information out there. People can start to do their own research. They can look at things, understand how it can benefit them.
Dude, I just noticed your hat. We got to talk about that. And you're sweating crazy today.
It's warm in here.
I mean, you need a cold. Can we get a cold tablet for the mayor's head,
No,
please?
I'm-
He's sweating his ass off.
I shouldn't
right
be
now.
wearing a hat that just keeps
Yeah,
the
it's
heat
keeping
in.
the
Yeah.
heat in.
We need to talk about that. So,
But
you
it would really benefit the commercial
Sure.
uses as a boardwalk, and then
So I was at Cornerstone Resort Saturday
I saw
doing a
that.
walk around, and I looked out one of the lanais and I saw the plantings. I asked the lady that was giving me the tour. I said, "Did you put those plantings in?" She said, "No, they survived the storm." It's like, oh my God, it's some of the palm trees and the plantings. You don't really realize how much of an important role those plantings play in a storm like that.
and just so you know, before Irma, we were working in Bonita, and I was on a mission to help a lot of the Fort Myers Beach condominium properties restore their vegetation on the dune, or actually implement vegetation planting.
Before
And
Ian,
yes, and I was able to do that for a couple of properties. So,
was Cornerstone one of them?
I think you're
Holy
right.
smokes!
Yeah.
I mean,
What's the best plant to put in for that?
Sea grapes are really
That's what I
hardy.
thought. Okay.
They can survive those types of conditions.
see, as a homeowner, I would think I would never could afford a house on the beach. But if you have a house on the beach, you always think you just want to be able to walk out the backyard and walk to the beach. And you don't want what some of them do look like weeds.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings that are
I know,
plant
but
lovers.
it's nice to have a little green.
But some of them do look like weeds.
Oh,
And
you're-
you don't want to walk. But then you realize, damn, these things are freaking.
Yeah, you come to love them when they keeps the water out of your
Yes.
basement.
Well,
Well, it helps grab the sand. It helps
Okay.
catch the sand particles and drop them. And so then that also works in conjunction with the wave mitigation wall too, because then it would also, because it it really just disrupts the velocity of the water that's carrying the sand. And so that causes this deposition of the sand to fall at the wall instead of being transferred across over to the land.
into the street, then
Yes.
into the
Yeah,
sewers,
and
and
it's-
then
It's windy days too. That
Yes.
vegetation keeps our sugar sand from blowing
Yeah.
Right.
across the boulevard.
I know on Friday I watched it because I watched all these things. The town opened up the bids for the plantings. There was only one company that that put a bid in for, it was Earth Balance or something. Does that sound right? Did they do that? Anyway, so it looks like the town is in the process now of ending the beach renourishment sand project and then getting to the plantings, which are the next step of now. Maybe you don't know this, Dan, because it's really in the weeds, so to speak, of the beach renourishment. Maybe you do. But so does the town pay for these plantings that are going in after the beach renourishment, or does each property owner have to pay for their own in the backyard?
No, I believe it's all part of the bid process. It's all encompassed in the grant funding.
Okay.
That we got. I know Chad has been working with commercial and residential owners as to what specific plant they want. And I'm not an expert on all the plants. I know there's like railroad vine. And so there's different things that you could put in that work. So Chad's been working with them, and there has to be a certain percentage of each type, or it's,
Why does there need to be a certain percentage?
you'd have
of
to
each
ask
type?
Chad again.
That's
That's in the weeds.
I'm sure
That's in the
Elizabeth
weeds.
knows.
If you have different types of plants, it helps promote the growth of all of them together.
Really?
And there's a strategic way to plant them so that it promotes.
Elizabeth, why has nobody on Fort Myers Beach found a cane toad frog? I mean, why?
We have one in our backyard.
You had
Oh,
one?
you did?
Yeah.
Well, there you
It's
go.
been a couple
I
of years.
don't know.
Did you kill it?
Oh yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you kill it with?
Well, I thought I killed it with a landscape block, but
They
when
live, man. They
They're
have 9
pretty
lives.
hard.
I had to take it. I had to take him out with a roofing shovel.
Did you put it in the freezer?
It went in the canal.
You probably. I don't think that was a wise thing. Those things are poisonous.
I don't know if
You
they're-
killed a manatee with that thing. That's what
Oh,
probably happened. A
stop,
manatee came by and ate that
stop.
cane
Oh, it
toad.
wasn't going to kill my dog.
Stop.
That's true. That's true. When I accidentally killed a frog with a pitchfork the other
Accidentally?
day, yeah. And so the people that
Mine
get
was
on
accidental too.
the people that get on my page and say, "Why are you killing the frogs?" Give me your mailing address and let me drop it off for you.
Those things
And
are
just-
massive. If you've never seen one, they're
Dude,
massive.
can I tell you how?
I've seen them on Sanibel before too.
Can I tell you how crazy the frog thing has gotten in my mind? Last night, what?
It's a toad.
Relax, bro. Relax.
Yes. Get it right. Get it right.
It's a toad.
I would never kill a tree frog, by the way. I would never kill it. I love the tree frogs. So I
It'll
had a
be cool
dream
in a
last
minute.
night that I took Petey out, and the frogs were everywhere. They were jumping on the dog and they were attacking the dog, and I couldn't get the frogs away from the dog. This is how crazy it's gotten with the frogs. Now,
No,
yesterday,
we had a rat yesterday.
I go outside the
We're
pool
living
cage
in the great area of Gateway.
because I have
You need Jorge to come
because
and
I
sell your
have
place.
now I have a flashlight and I'm looking for the frogs and I see something furry in the tree and I'm like, that's not a frog. So we've got the black boxes that everybody has around their house, and the frogs, the rats go in and they eat the poison, and they're supposed to run over to the neighbor's house and die. They're not supposed to die in your neighborhood. That's what the guy said. They wander around in other people's neighborhoods, but
They don't get the no trespassing
No.
sign.
Right.
So the damn rat is sitting right there, and I'm waiting because Petey loves to run crazy out in the backyard. And I apologize to you people that are trying to eat. And it was just one of those things. The first day that we moved here, I saw a black snake. I think I told this story. And we're from New York. You don't see snakes in New York. So I killed the black snake with a shovel.
Not before he let out a very high-pitched scream.
And then I learned quickly. This is
Riveting
before.
stuff,
This is
Elizabeth.
before
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes.
This is before Facebook. I learned that the snakes like to eat the rats. So I love the black snakes now. I mean, I let them in the pool. I let them in the house. They come out of the toilet when I'm in the bathroom. I love them. So anyway, the thing that was interesting to me when I was looking out the back window
This
of the
changes.
Cornerstone property was everything was gone to the right. Everything was gone to the left. And those plantings were still behind that development.
Well,
It
that
was
development,
crazy.
that development, I think, had a seawall of some sort in front of it.
Yeah, they have a seawall there.
Mhm.
So
What's the difference between a seawall and a
There you
wave
go.
mitigation wall? Oh,
Great
good.
question.
Thank you. Where's the bell for me?
Great question.
Thank you.
I brought the bell today.
So I introduced Jim Matterholt had the same question. So
I
seawalls are typically designed to retain the land behind them and designed for hydrostatic pressure, so rising water, not necessarily wave
Wave.
impacts
Mhm.
and those types of forces. So what we design are those structures that will survive those
kind
types
of
of
like
forces.
a seawall on steroids.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Cool.
we call it an upland retaining wall for technical terms.
So Elizabeth, are you going like from business to business, house to house, and making cold calls and trying to explain? I mean, how do you get the word out? Because this is a
No,
great
right.
Nobody
Well,
should be
We're-
doing
I mean,
that.
it's a
for the
great
town
idea.
First.
Yeah, we're still, I think, in the process of trying to get Elizabeth and her firm under contract to be able to start doing the design. Once you get costs and things like that, this is just kind of preemptive, just getting out there and letting people know what it is. So again, you can go start doing your own research, see if it works for you, see if it doesn't. And then once we get that, I think we had given direction that we want to see what it would be for the entire island, and then you can break it down from there.
Yeah, see who wants to be involved.
Yeah, see who wants to be
My
involved.
ride's
So
here.
start with, shoot high and end up where you end up. But
Yeah, I think that the way I see it is our first goal is to look at the whole island and determine the design parameters at key locations along the island, because the conditions change. Your shoreline isn't the same from one end to the other. The water levels aren't the same. So we would be identifying those criteria. Then that sets the framework for being able to develop some conceptual renderings of what that would look like.
So,
and I think it's important that people, people when they hear mitigation wall, they think it's like a seawall. They think it's a straight line of concrete down the island. That's
Right.
not the case. They're wavy. There's all kinds.
okay.
They're not just a straight piece of concrete down the island.
gotcha.
Yes.
So
Let me just ask,
go ahead.
if you were to do the whole island, how much would that cost? 7 miles.
Wow.
A lot.
It's a loaded question.
Just say it's what, 5,280 feet
Times seven.
Who's got a calculator?
That's like 35,000
good this morning.
plus.
Debbie's doing it right
Huh?
now.
Yeah, it's about 45,000.
Oh, she's texting her friend. I thought you were doing the math. You're texting your friends. Oh, it's
So
a show boring you?
450,000 or 4.5 million?
4.5. I think it's
Okay.
There's got to
So-
be money out there for that. I mean,
Honestly,
yeah, I mean, if it was
4.5 million.
$1,000
That's
a
not a lot of
linear
money.
foot. That's $4.5 million.
Yes.
so what if people want to go online, Elizabeth,
Yes.
in addition to your website, if they want to go look at a wave mitigation wall on a beach, you guys are going to be
We've
ejected
moved
from
on.
this restaurant. You're too loud today.
We got it.
Relax.
We
So
relax.
what's 36,400 times 750?
Very interactive show. We let the audience participate.
So
27 million.
2.7 million.
2.7 million. Okay. If
I
peop-
think it's going to be more than that. Yeah.
So you figure 5 million. That 5 million is a drop in the bucket to this state. They can't pass a budget though for some reason. Elizabeth, if somebody wants to go online and look at a beach community that has one of these, is there somewhere they can go look at it that you know of?
Well, I can give like property locations. So like up in Clearwater, it's the Hyatt Resort and the Wyndham Grand Resort. They're right next to each other on Clearwater Beach.
Okay. We
There's
need a bus ride to
there's
Clearwater.
a feature
Everybody.
there. You can actually go there. You can sit on the wall. I mean, people have no idea that it's there.
How high is the wall? I'm afraid of heights.
Over in Fort Lauderdale, along A1A, there's the wall there that's visible.
Okay.
That separates the road from the beach.
Do you have any videos that I can share?
I can send you.
Yeah, that'd
some
be great to
examples.
be able to see something like that. I think if people see it, it would
Like,
help.
I think once people see it, because again, they think wall, they think straight line concrete. It's
Mhm.
going to
Yeah.
be 6 feet high. It's not the case. It's when you see it and you see how it's designed and you see it becomes part of the architecture of
Mhm.
with the sand and it really just becomes part of it.
And it's not going to be like right behind somebody's house, but it's also not going to be in the walkway where people are laying
Right.
down and walking and hanging out,
Right.
right? It's going
Right.
to be
Because
sort
it
of
can
in
be
that
on
middle.
either side of the sand berm, right? It could be
Okay.
it can be on either, if I'm not mistaken. it can be on either
Yes. So
side.
and that's why we want to do the whole study to do the conceptual layouts at
Gotcha.
different locations along the beach because it changes.
Now that would be
So
a
I think-
public
I think-
benefit
I think
somebody
to-
could
to his
offer.
Oh
concern,
shit, that's what he's been saying.
What's
Yeah,
that?
that's a
public
public
benefit in a
benefit
big
that
way.
somebody could
It's a
order.
huge public benefit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, if people want to get in
and
touch,
it's a benefit to. I mean, I think it's a benefit to homeowners and business owners that live along the
Yeah.
beach. I think it would be a huge benefit.
and no matter what you
Sweeten
think, it
that
doesn't
pot.
seem like the storms are stopping. I mean, you have to prepare for even minor hurricanes
Well, even
now.
Right,
even king
right.
tides. I mean,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
we see what with king tides how you get flooding.
How
I
can-
think there'll be a lot of benefit with those smaller type storms.
100%. And those are going to be more, the Ian thing, God, you hope that never
Yeah,
happens again. But it was like a 500-year storm. Now
I
you
didn't-
hope.
I didn't do the
but-
math, Greg.
You have a question, sir?
Yes. Oh God, here we go.
Well, you've been napping over there. We
Yeah,
already
we were
covered
just
that.
talking about that.
Yes,
What
sir.
are you drinking over there?
Yes, they can be that way.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
So
And
Elizabeth,
he's like going to have another one.
Yeah. Maybe Elizabeth, the videos you could share with Ed, if you could show that aspect of it too.
Yes.
oh my
Because I
God,
think
I'll
when
do
people
that.
get to see in relation how the
Yeah.
wall and the foot traffic or the bike traffic path and the berms and the plantings all work together, you're
Yes.
like, oh, this is it looks like it was meant to be.
The other thing too would be a video, like a reconstruction of a wave coming in to show how
Yeah.
that
Oh my
really
God,
busted
yeah.
up. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding from me. I'm on fire today.
Relax, dear.
Well, if
So-
you remember, if you go
I-
back to remember Mike Poff when he was talking about how the beach renourishment was going to come up, and he talked about how the waves would come in, and that because it's a long gradual thing that the wave action would break down. You're
Mhm.
still going to get some scarring, but that's essentially what the wall does, but it's immediate.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And there's some live videos out there from I was able to find from the Clearwater Beach area during Milton and Helene, where the surge is coming in with the waves. Now these aren't big waves, but you can see where they hit
Well,
the
those would be great to share.
mitigation wall and they just dissipate.
That's
It's
big,
just
great
like
to share. If
nothing
somebody,
behind the wall.
Yeah.
if somebody on Fort Myers Beach
Like
Yes.
rough water to calm water.
Exactly.
wants to get in contact with you to ask you about their property or their business property or
Sure.
whatever, how do they do that? What tell them how to reach you and what your website address is.
Yep. So our website is jrevansengineering.com. jrevansengineering.com. My email is Elizabeth, ELIZABETH at JREENG.com. So there's 2 E's in there. My phone number is 239-405-9148 is the office line.
Sweet. And you brought some family members here.
My mom and my sister. are
Oh, your
here.
mom and your sister here. Very
They-
nice.
You must
And-
be so proud.
Yes. And your mom knows
Knows Peter.
Ennis from
Yeah.
Beef O'Brady's in, where was that, in Lehigh?
No,
that
no,
wasn't
no.
in Lehigh.
No,
That,
that
was
was
over
in
by the
Estero.
Estero.
Jill-
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, we were just talking about how
And-
great Beef O'Brady's was. Man, we love Beef O'Brady's.
But we love Wahoo Willie's.
Well, yeah.
And
well, they did.
today we are here at Wahoo Willie's.
Yes.
Yesterday, when I started the
Good
show,
breaks.
I said, "Welcome to Wahoo Willie's." I had no idea where that came from, and everybody's like, "I can't believe you said that." I was like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to make a mistake." So, thank you so much, Elizabeth,
You're
for coming
welcome.
on.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Yeah,
big hand
thanks,
for Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Please talk to her if you have
Thank you very
property on the
much.
beach. Thank you,
Thank you.
Elizabeth, and
Thank you.
appreciate you bringing your family down. And have a great weekend. And we'll stay in touch.
Are you reading any ads?
Not
or-
yet. I'll
Okay.
save the ads,
Yeah,
and
thank
Tom's
you.
here, so we'll do it at the end. But one of the things I wanted to say about Cornerstone yesterday, folks, I try hard not to bring up videos from September 28th, 2022, because I know people have PTSD over those videos. But yesterday, when the people from Cornerstone sent me those videos, the only reason I did that was so that you could see the difference when people say things aren't moving fast enough and things aren't being rebuilt fast enough. You can see the destruction of that monster storm and see how it looks today. I mean, that building looks fabulous, and they had the worst time. They had the worst time with somebody knocked the camera sideways. They had the worst time with contractors, Dan. They actually were built, I think she said, in 2008 or 2004. And so they were built a little bit higher, but their contractors screwed them, or they would have been open a lot earlier. They're just getting open this month. So
They did a nice job painting the building too. It used to be
the
kind
whole
of
thing, just turn the whole thing a
Well,
little
I
bit
told
more,
the
a
other
little bit
lady
more, a little bit
a
more.
little more.
You don't have to be gentle with it. It's $8 on Amazon. Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
no, I
Thank you.
yeah. I mean, well, they're got issues just like a lot of condos had.
Yeah.
right after the storm.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've learned from the different walkarounds at the condos is your HOA board president or whoever's on your HOA, they need to be there on top of the contractors every single day, because if these people are going through this for the first time, and they trust everybody to do what they say they're going to do, and it does. Unfortunately, it for some contractors it doesn't happen that way. It really doesn't. It's an unfortunate thing, but
Yeah,
they don't keep their word.
and that's
Not everybody.
That's the problem with when you're absentee and you're dealing with contractors. After a storm like that, contractors are very busy, and if they have any roadblock in front of them, even a little bit, they'll go to the next project, and
I've
then
heard-
they'll tell you. Some contractors will tell you whatever you want to hear just to pass the buck on to someone
That's
else.
right. And one of
Well,
the
that can happen even if you're. I mean, it's really hard when you're away, but it happens
Yeah.
even when you're there. So
Yeah.
can you imagine if you're not there?
And one of the things too that I think everybody realizes it now because it's been so long is the permitting process. If your contractor is putting the permits in and you're waiting for your permit to come in and you blame it on the town, it could have been that the contractor didn't do A, B, or C and never looked in the portal to see why the permit was in the waiting mode, and that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I saw as I was looking up the hundreds of permits for people that, if they had an issue, they would call me or email me, and the majority of what I saw were people that got rejected for whatever reason. I saw things from they just signed their name on the form. They didn't put any plans in, they didn't put anything in, and I saw things from they just forgot to put in the height of where something was going to be elevated to, so it got rejected, and it was sitting there for months waiting for resubmittal.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the contractor doesn't have someone on their staff that's going and looking at the porthole every day to see if they have any issues with their permits, because everybody, to your point, everybody makes mistakes, right? Even though you do this every single day for a living, you could make a mistake and forget to put a phone number down, or forget to put an elevation down, or I forgot that I sent the wrong plan. It was supposed to be this updated plan. Things like that happen, and when staff catches it and they reject it, until it gets submitted back in, it doesn't get reviewed. And I think that's where a lot of the miscues and the frustrations and the stuff came in. And then the other ones were people didn't understand that condo buildings were considered commercial, which are also subject to fire inspection, which is outside the town's purview. So some of the stuff that was being held up, sometimes it was the fire district just waiting on a resubmission for a sprinkler or something. So
Right.
There was a lot of things, but the point is, Ian thrust everybody, most people who've never gotten a permit in their life, it put everybody into that bucket. And not knowing what you don't know, there's not people that never had to get a permit in their life. That's why they hire what they think are legitimate contractors to do it for them. And any contractor that's worked in a coastal community understands how much more difficult it is than it is even just over the bridge.
Right.
So
I just wonder, is anyone still waiting for an elevator in their condo? Because
I'm sure.
people
Oh, yeah,
wait
the town hall's still
forever.
waiting for one.
Good Lord.
They had one at Cornerstone. I said, you better put a lock around that thing. Somebody down the
Right.
street's going to
So
come and
rip
steal it
it
and put it in their
out,
own
yeah.
building. So let's talk about some of the beach issues real quick. We'll rifle through them all. The 4th of July is coming up. You have the fireworks, which are sponsored by Michael Stewart, by the way. Our broadcast for the fireworks will be sponsored by Michael Stewart. And there's a parade.
There is a parade.
And so the parade will start, I believe, at 9 o'clock at Bay Oaks.
Yes, just
and,
like every other year. Yeah.
And the road will be closed,
Mhm.
and it'll go
Down, I think it's going to turn down Crescent. I think it's going to end at Crescent. Because
Is that what you heard?
The left-hand turn isn't open to go like it normally would turn at the base of the bridge
I got you.
and go into Old San Carlos, but
Right.
that's not open. So I think what they're going to do is have them go down Crescent, and then you can exit off a third, come back around. And
Do
go
you
off
know
the
how
island.
many floats are in it yet? Or
I don't know. Jeff mentioned something a week or two ago, but I don't remember what the number was.
So-
It wasn't. There's still time to sign up.
Yes, if you go to our Facebook page, I reposted the town's event. They have it listed as an event on their Facebook page. If you want to sign up for a float or whatever, or if you're running for any kind of office, you usually show up and then you never show up again if you're elected. But you can come to the 4th of July parade, and then the fireworks will be at dusk, I guess, at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second thing is
And everybody's praying for no fog.
yes. Yes. I mean, that can happen twice. I mean, that's like a 10-year
need a
storm.
Joe Booth
That's like,
thing for
That's
that.
like a
Yeah,
10-year
right.
storm. So the second thing is, I wish I didn't feel this way, but I really feel like the writing is on the wall, and that beach school is never going to open again. I didn't get the feeling like that they would. You want them to take off the table that they won't close the school, and they won't do that. The superintendent didn't commit that to you. Armour came on the show yesterday. He didn't.
No.
He can't commit. He
Well,
can't commit the
No, he
board.
can't.
But
And
they
none of
won't
them,
take that off the
individually,
table.
They can't. But my point yesterday was to try to get advocates on our side to take that off. And as I said yesterday, it's not committing that you're going to open it as a public school. It's not committing that it's going to be a hybrid, and it's not committing that it's going to be a charter school. It's just committing to that there's going to be some sort of school, like there has been on this island for almost 90 years. Maybe not in that building, but on the island, there's been a school for almost 90 years. There's a reason. And as I said yesterday, in their vision and goals, it says they want world-class schools. You've got one here. Why would you want to close one of the things that's in your vision statement?
Mm-hmm.
So we're certainly going to continue to work with them and do what we could do. But I think to ease tensions, if we could at least get them to say, okay, we won't close the school, or there will be some sort of school there. However, it needs to be worded. I think that will help the ad hoc committee. I think it'll help the parents. I think it'll help the children to understand that, they're going to have a home, and it's going to take work. It's going to take work from both sides to get to whatever the next final goal is. But I think, to me, that's the low-hanging fruit that I think could be discussed to get rid of immediately, and we can continue the discussions to get those kids back on the island.
you think that that would make people feel, I mean, it feels like he was saying, about how you've got the ILA and people want that enforced. Do you think that's going to move them off that to any negotiations?
This is probably a better conversation for Jim, because Jim's been in the ad hoc committee. I've just been on the outside getting my information, and over the last 2 weeks reading back up on it. We do have an agreement in place with them. They know it. We know it. It was for 4 years. We certainly want to, as I said before, we don't want to get into a litigation fight with anybody. It doesn't benefit anybody,
So
especially the kids. But the goal is to get those kids back in school. I appreciate Armour coming out at that meeting and saying what he said, that his choice would be to rebuild the school. He didn't say what was going to happen in the school, whether it was a hybrid he just said getting a school built. To me, and I try to put myself, if I was sitting up on that dais like they are, you've got to be fiscally responsible. Does it make sense to put $7.5 million into a building that could get damaged again when you could build one for $15 million and never have to deal with it again? I could see their argument on that. So to your point, Ed, I think that's probably the way that most of them are leaning. But just come out and say it. Don't
string the parents
how much
along.
more data do you need to know that a building
just take a vote. Take a vote and say either take that off the table or say we're going to figure out. Let them know. Let the parents on the island know one way or the other. If you're not going to build it, let them move on with their lives so the kids can get stabilized somewhere in a different school. So,
but I will, and I'm going to reach out to all of the members and try to set up a meeting to meet with them. I did meet with Denise. She, it was a very cordial conversation. This is a type of thing I think people need to keep the level head. They need to. Everybody knows the points. Everybody knows what the ILA says. Everybody understands that. How do we get it to the next phase, right? How do we get it to the next level? And if we have to stand firm, we'll stand firm. But I think through discussions, we can get to a happy place, for lack of a better term, to get these kids back sooner.
Or a place that nobody's happy,
the longer
but
this goes on, the longer these poor kids got to get on a bus and bus. It's not right. I've reached out to the governor. I've reached out to Congressman Donald's office for assistance. I mean, I think everybody, it's what I've said in private and I've said it publicly. If there's two things on this island, I said one, Councilor Safford was correct, and the other one, when he brought it up, there's two things on this island that nobody's divided over: clean water and the school. Even when you talk to people who don't have kids, never had kids in that school, when you ask them about Bay Oaks to the school, they see that as a community asset. And keep it, and they will do what it takes to keep it. So with everything that's happened since Ian, to have that as something that everybody is united on, that should tell you something.
So is the town prepared to file a lawsuit against the Lee County School District for violating the ILA?
I think it's too early for that. I think our attorney Becky and Will have had one conversation with their attorney and Denise, the superintendent. I think they should have another one or two, and I'll reach out and meet with all the other school board members to kind of feel where they're at.
Let me ask it a different way. If the Lee County School District votes to not rebuild the school, would you support the town filing a lawsuit against the Lee County School District for violating the ILA?
I would support whatever action needs to be taken to keep the school open.
That would be a yes?
I would support whatever action needs to be taken.
I think that would be
to
a
keep
yes.
the school open.
Did you guys read that as a yes? I know he's a politician, so I'm trying to figure out if he's usually a yes or no guy.
I usually don't. I don't think it needs to get to that.
Oh, come on. They're not opening that school. I
disagree.
I don't know why you're so.
I just don't get any feeling like nobody is going to come out except for Armour. Nobody came out and said, we're rebuilding that school. Take that other one off the table. Nobody will say take it off the table or close. Nobody will. You've asked them to.
I've asked them.
Nobody will say it.
But they haven't had an official board meeting to be able to do that. I mean, Armour is not going to go up there and say one thing or another, which I wouldn't expect him to. Just like I wouldn't expect any, but I think they should at least have that discussion.
It really is tough to expect people to just really say what's on their mind and be honest. So I get what you're saying. Now, speaking of being honest, if we can move on.
I am being honest.
I don't mean you're being dishonest.
Yeah, I believe that that the school, in some form or fashion, there's a way to keep it open. I don't think it's a done deal that it's going to be closed and never be back open again.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So real quick, Bay Oaks is opening on what day?
I don't know.
Wait. Well, you're not allowed to say I don't know.
The gym is, the floor is done, but as far as I think mid-July is when the last I talked to Jeff, he said mid-July is when you'll start to see the gym equipment go back in the workout equipment. But
Maybe
the
you
gym
could
floor
get a
is open.
membership there and get it up to 4.
You know, it was funny this
It'd
morning
be open on time.
when we were at Planet Fitness.
Oh, I got him off track.
I said to my son-in-law, I said, well, where are the rest of the dumbbells? Because the dumbbells only went up to 75 pounds at Planet Fitness, and they don't even have a flat bench or an incline bench. It's one of those places where
I could never work out there with only 75 pound
no, but it's one of those places where they don't want you to
pump you up.
They don't want you to be intimidating. You're not, so I get it. It was like being at a hotel gym where,
you might need to widen those
I can
cans
see
while
you
your head
storming down to the
explodes
front
there.
lobby. You've only got 75-pound dumbbells. What am I
And he'll
supposed
walk
to do?
like this. You only have 75-pound dumbbells.
And by speaking of that, can you get some kind of shade structure over the workout facility over here?
It's in the works, believe it or not. We've
cool.
talked about doing something similar to what is down here to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, are you going to be in the big wheel race? By the way,
Maybe
it should be 4 town council members on the big wheel team. We won't be talking about anything.
Is it going to be a big wheel relay thing?
Yes, it's going to be a 4-person relay. It's going to be brilliant.
We're going to
You're
need.
gonna have
We're
like
going
a baton you have
we're gonna
to
need an
pass?
extended big wheel for
It's
John.
going to be an industrial.
I mean, he's
Oh my God, yeah.
going to have
see?
2 black eyes. His knees will be bang,
Crunched
bang,
up.
bang, bang, bang.
So I don't know if you guys saw the post. I mean, sometimes I can't even fathom some of the things I read.
Got it.
The Hendry County Sheriff comes out and he blasts Captain for Clean Water. Dan and Chris are 2 of the nicest people that you're ever going to want to meet. And all their goal is to keep the water clean, rebuild the Florida Everglades. And for the Hendry County Sheriff to say they were inciting violence, it was so absurd. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
You can't believe that somebody would accuse somebody of something that they haven't done.
Ooh.
Just got warmer in here, didn't it?
No, she's not saying that I accuse somebody. It's the other way around, is what she's saying. I think people thought, what did you guys think? You were
Let it
clapping.
go.
I don't
Let
think
it
you were
go.
clapping for the right reasons now. It's an inside thing. So the whole thing was like, here's the thing. Let me just say one thing.
One thing. Okay.
So I think you guys know what my opinion is on the recall. Not that my opinion matters. I'm not bringing that up to talk about the recall. I'm not. But if I post something about the recall and somebody's going to be an ass to somebody else about it, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to use anything I post to be an ass or to get violent or nothing. I don't want that to be the case, and you won't be on our page, and that's not anything that I ever want to happen. Intimidation and things like that for other people. And that's what they were. And so the segue is that's what they were claiming. The captain's posts about this rock mine was causing people to be violent. You can't prevent people from being idiots. Like if they want to be violent towards somebody, it's on them. You can't blame it on the captain's.
I always
post.
look at it this way. Ed. I look at it as you're in control of your own actions, right? You can stand in front of me and you can call me all the names in the book you want. As long as you don't touch me, you haven't done anything to me other than spew words. Now, if you put your hands on me, that's a different situation, right?
Then we got the problem.
Or if you get upset at it and you decide to put your hands on them, now you've taken it too far.
Right.
But just by simply saying words or saying, that's not inciting. You're in charge of your own actions. At the end of the day, you're your own person.
But when you saw that post, what did you think?
I honestly didn't understand it. I still, is it because of the word fight was in there? Or
I think that's the only thing that I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Listen,
so this might be some crazy.
If that's the basis, then there's a lot of people
No
that
kidding.
I mean,
are inciting.
But we
problems.
all know those two. We all know what they do.
Yeah,
It's never been a violent thing. And Chris is going to be on the show. Chris Whitman is going to be on the show next Saturday. So we're really going to get into it.
It's like,
But the sheriff, the reason I love Carmine, one of the reasons I love Carmine, and I wish all this other crap I wish they would just get rid of it and get it over with. To have it hanging over his head is really not fair. If something's out there, it should be.
Okay, what were you saying about?
When he sees somebody doing something wrong, that person is the one that gets perp walked, not somebody that said something. That's the person that did the wrong thing. That's the difference, I think. But when the sheriff posts something like that, then you have to think, okay, something crazy is going on there. Like it's
very weird.
It's got to be about political contributions or money or big sugar. I mean, the whole thing just seemed absurd.
Again, whether or not that sheriff knew the PIO was putting that out or didn't put it out, or he put it out himself, or who knows? But the fact that, and has there been any kind of retraction to it? I haven't.
Oh no, to be honest with you,
Captains has come out and answered.
Yeah. Those guys know how to use social media.
Again, I go back to there's one thing that pretty much all of Southwest Florida is united in, and that's clean water.
Yeah. And if you don't understand or you don't,
I don't know if everybody is, but yeah, most people are.
Right.
Well, I think if you're not, why do you live here if you're not?
No, I think what she's saying is the big sugar people don't really care about the
Don't
water.
put words in my mouth.
And who did you mean?
I'm just listen, people.
She doesn't want to ever come out and actually have an opinion on anything.
No, it's open
she just
to
wants to be on the fence.
interpretation.
You know what happens when you sit on the fence?
Yeah.
You rip your britches.
Good one, Dan. For that one.
Is that like a Minnesota saying?
I don't know.
He just made it up there. No, so if you don't follow the Everglades thing, and you really, it all does come back to Fort Myers eventually, Fort Myers Beach eventually, because of the.
If we can stop these flows from Okeechobee down here, it's going to be beneficial for us. So the more they get it figured out to go to the Everglades, the better it's going to be for us.
Yes.
Which is the way it was designed to do.
So let me just ask a random question, Dan.
Oh, boy.
Are you happy with the redevelopment of Fort Myers Beach right now? The direction of the redevelopment project?
I'm certainly happy that we're getting redevelopment and that people are investing. And I think you're trying to get at am I happy with the way some of the votes have gone?
Oh, wait, who's sitting on the fence now? He's not really, right? Yeah.
Come on and ask the question. I'll answer it. I don't care. Am I happy that we'll just use Moss Marine because it's over? It's been talked about. Am I happy they're building and they're investing 100%? Do I think it was a little too much? Yeah, that's why I voted against it. But I'm 100% in support of them. Even though it didn't go my way, I support the decision. I support the process that they went through. I appreciate the fact that they came back to the table several times and worked with the people. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough to get my vote. But doesn't mean I'm not going to support them.
Well, how big? I was a little tepid on the applause on that one. How many rooms do you think, just throwing numbers out there, would you have been happy with over there? Where they came from 400 to 263 or something like that.
Well, the way it worked for me and going through and listening to things and even let's say everything went as according to a plan, they were going to be allowed 90 rooms by right with the multiplier with all that.
I didn't even know that was a number. Okay.
Yeah, so it was 90. If that was with the comp plan change, that was with everything that they were asking for. Even before they came to ask for anything else, they would have been allowed. If again you were to grant them the multiplier and all the other things that the density units times the multiplier would have got them to 90 units by right. Then to go to 263, to me that 200% increase in rooms, that's a significant amount. Obviously the height that was a little bit in there too, but for me the biggest factor was the neighborhood. It was, and I said it in the meeting. They purchased 5 properties that were commercial or residential conservation to be able to, including the one that was on this one wasn't residential, but they bought 5 or 6 properties to be able to do what they wanted to do, which is smart business. I don't blame them for that, but that gave me a little bit of pause because I don't believe the comp plan ever envisioned taking residential property and converting it to commercial. That's my interpretation of it. And I think that's why the staff recommended denial. And that's ultimately why I voted against it. But again, the Freelands have been here for a long time. They're part of this fabric of the community.
Yeah.
I support them. Ben knows it. We've talked about it even before. The people at the Neptune, we had conversation after that, they understand that I'm not against them. I'm just voting based on what I believe the comp plan and land development code say. But I certainly encourage it. Do I think it's beneficial? Do I think there's going to be problems? Yes. I think that two things can be correct at the same time.
Yeah. Yep.
Did somebody? Oh, you have a question?
No, I want to talk a little
You want to
bit.
talk? Just the two of us talk on the side or something? Or did you have a question?
No. I was just, I had some ideas about what we could do to make this community much better. What makes traditions is children. We need to focus on the children and doing more things to get the children around because they're going to come here. They're going to go, I love that place. It was so much fun. I had a great time. And I think that's what we need to focus on.
I agree. We should have a Making Babies Day.
I'm out 100%.
You're going to use your vacation day that day?
Out.
Or we all die trying.
No, she means events geared towards kids.
I know. I'm just
so
joking.
maybe we do an adult big wheel and a kid and a kid's
I
big
don't.
wheel.
I don't.
Maybe the adults go against the kids, or
Do you
the
have any
kids go
kids?
against the
I
adults.
have 4 kids, 2 adopted.
You were busy.
Yeah. 2 adopted. Okay. They're 25, 25, 26, and 18. So I did my due diligence.
So now you're
Yeah.
saying
Tell you.
grandbabies. You
And
need
what-
grandbabies on the beach.
One.
What? Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do now is to promote the hotels to go there and have kids day all day long instead of all this crazy drinking that everybody does, which I love to drink. We all love to drink, but have a portion of it. Because my nickname is Madam Butterfly, and I have a dog named Junkyard Dog that was thrown out, and he got rat poisoning, and he's the best dog ever. But anyway, he's not here with me now. But I want to promote, go around to all the different places and have, fun for the kids. Set up events with tug of war. We could do tug of war. We could do, sand castles. The parents could get involved, and whoever wins the sand castle. This is what makes traditions. This is what's going to make.
We need her on the committee. She needs to come to be on our. We have, yeah.
I have a live stage. I have a live on Facebook.
Wrap it up.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's called Christina in the Raw, Christ. We all need a little Christ in our life, INA, in the raw, and we need to be more godly. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. I heard rat poison and godly and kids. So
And junkyard dog.
junkyard dog. Thank you
JYD.
very much. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the development. You were asking
yes.
me if I know there's a lot of
It's just so close. And
Yeah, no, that's all right. No, I mean, we've had a lot of businesses that have stepped up, and business owners in front of us that have stepped up and are investing back in the community.
Yeah.
A lot of homeowners are doing the same thing. So I'm encouraged by it. I just wish it was some of them were a little bit not so intense.
Let me ask you this. I always go back to this because I watched it in action with Larry from Tropical Shores Way and that building that the town. I don't want to harp on that, but the goal of what was happening there was to protect that street from that building. That was not a gigantic. There certainly wasn't 17 stories, and those people on Tropical Shores Way wanted to be protected. And the town council decided that was not a good spot for a building. That was 2 stories, I think. I mean, it really wasn't.
Well,
Anyway,
I
What's
get
the
your
use
point.
of that building?
I get your
too?
point, but
no, let me ask the question
Yeah.
though. Are you
We'll get
worried
to it.
that this town council is not protecting residential neighborhoods?
no, I wouldn't say it that way. I mean, your example of Tropical Shores Way was a different time than before Ian. I think had it been after Ian,
But the neighborhoods are still the neighborhoods.
They're still the neighborhoods. I don't disagree. I thought we could have gotten more to benefit that neighbor. The thing with this project is the neighborhood understood that something, and they were supportive of something being developed there. And they had a very small wish list of things that they wanted to see achieved. I didn't think it was an egregious amount of ask for what was being granted.
I think
And every time we would ask for
drainage-
something, the answer was a hard no. It's
But
a no
I
negotiation.
think you asking the developer to fix a drainage problem that's the town's responsibility was a little over the line. You fix it.
I didn't. No. What I was saying is work to fix it. I asked them their own. I think it was Elizabeth said it was about $100,000 to fix the problem. We'll work with the town. What I'm saying is, whether it's
Partner
a town's
with us.
response, it's a town benefit. It's a public benefit to fix the drainage issues that have been going on in that neighborhood.
But the
entire
town
time.
couldn't fix it for years. Why
We can't
why
fix
does
it because we don't have an easement. See, if you don't know what you're talking about, Ed, you should do a little research.
It's
because
still your responsibility.
if you can't, we can't go on private property to fix a drainage issue if nobody will give us an easement to put the.
Who's nobody? The
No
property
one
owners?
no one in the neighborhood would give us an easement to get an outfall.
Okay, if they're not going to give you the easement, why are they going to give Moss Marina the easement?
No, Moss Marine would have to give us the easement to fix the problem.
Okay, but it's not his problem, right? It's not Moss Marina's
So how do you
drainage problem.
So what do you do with water that fills up? How do you drain it if nobody lets you go on their property to drain it?
I'm okay, different question. But you were trying to put the burden on him. You were trying to make him fix it.
I was trying to get them to alleviate it, and whether there was work with the town, at least have the discussion.
I think they did have the discussion.
Well, for the one part of 3rd Street, the entrance into their resort, yes.
Well, I did the first thing that this is the first I've ever heard that you needed an easement and they wouldn't give the easement. All I heard over and over again was the town's responsibility to fix it.
Well, again, do a little research. You'd have known. The reason that hasn't been fixed is because no one will grant us an easement in the entire neighborhood.
The property owners won't grant you an easement, yet they bitch about the drainage.
That's where we're at.
Okay, well, that makes zero sense.
So we had a property owner that was coming in and asking
Thanks for
for
coming.
what I felt was a substantial ask.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that could have been a true public benefit
Gotcha.
for everyone.
All right. Okay.
And it'll
so-
get fixed. And I'm sure the Freelands are great people. I'm sure
Yes.
if we, you know, our staff sits down with them and said, hey, if we can tie in at the time you're doing that, I'm sure we'll get it fixed. It's not the issue.
So-
But if you're asking for something that's you want to get public benefit back.
Yeah. All right. So let's just one final thought about a residential neighborhood. If there's a developer that wants to run ferries up and down a canal to get to a restaurant and pass by 10 or 15 houses, is that okay?
If it's zoned for it, you can't stop them.
Okay.
You don't have to necessarily grant their approval.
I got you.
But
it's got to be part of the bigger package where you look at the whole thing.
well, I know what you're asking. Everybody knows what you're asking. But if you look at our code, it
is
says
allowable.
It's allowable.
Yeah.
And because of Senate Bill 250, you can't make restrictions to your code that make it harder. It could be considered a taking.
What is the why has London Bay been so quiet on their development? Do you know why it hasn't come forward?
I have no idea. You'd have to ask.
Yeah,
Sounds
Mark.
like they're working
How
on
would
things
he
in the
know?
background.
Okay.
If they're doing mitigation walls and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't heard. No, I haven't heard. If I heard,
Do you know whether or not the Seagate not back room, but are they working on anything on their project, or is everybody waiting for the court case to play out?
no idea. No idea.
No idea. Have you heard from Matt Price at all?
No, other than over the fireworks thing. No.
Yeah. Okay. Any other issues that are going on the beach that you want to insult me about?
Well, I'm just trying to tell you the facts, Ed.
Nobody, but the part about that is I don't remember anybody in the town council meeting ever saying you won't give us an easement or we'd fix it. I just never. I watched all the meetings.
And Chris brought
Chris
Mostero. He brought a thing in that had an email from I don't know how long ago it was from Chrissy Corey, who was with the town before the storm, and it flat out says in there we just need someone to give us an easement in order to fix the drainage issue, and the inland property owners, they can't. It has to be someone that's on a canal, and no one was willing to give that easement, so you can't put an outfall in without an easement.
Yeah, now let me apologize to our followers for me not doing enough research
There you go.
for the newsletter or the
Step
show,
up.
and I will definitely try and step up my game.
He gets so
When
sensitive.
you say do some
Tell me
research,
about
I was
it.
like, oh. Anything else that you want to talk about, Dan?
Yeah, I would.
Oh.
And I don't normally do this on your show, but it's out there now, so we wanted to kind of let everybody know that besides our Ride FMB, which is our bike share thing that we do with resorts and Airbnbs to provide bicycles to them logoed with their logos and cover the insurance, maintenance, all that kind of stuff. We also have our Island Carts FMB, which is our rental, but we're going to be kicking off shortly called the Cart Shack. We're going to be selling golf carts. We're going to be carrying Honor LSV carts. So if you go to honorlsv.com, you can see the carts that we're going to be carrying. They're 100% American made. They're manufactured here. The aluminum comes from here. The only thing that comes,
Well, that's a good thing.
the only thing that comes from overseas is the electrical components for the most part and some of the plastic on it. But everything else, if you actually go to their website, ours isn't up and running yet, but it will be soon. The cartshack.com will be up hopefully at sometime here in the next couple of weeks. We've secured a place that we're going to be able to sell them out of just off the island. So we're excited about that. But go on there and take a look at it. You could customize them. They're 100% aluminum. You could change colors on them. They're powder coated aluminum. They're great carts. They were started by a gentleman who is very smart, very, very smart guy. Bought a very large warehouse up in South Carolina. I've been following for a couple of years before the storm because I knew that this is the route that we were going to go. And he bought a very, very smart man, engineering. So they built, like I said, when I say they do it all, the aluminum comes into their shop like this, and they bend it all, they weld it all, they do it all, they manufacture it, and then it gets put on the truck, comes right to us, ready to go out the door. We don't have to do any assembly. Or some of the other golf carts, they come over on a boat. You got to put the wheels and the top on it, and then they go out the door. So these are 100% checked at their factory before they get to us. But go to honorlsv.com and take a look at it. But he bought a cart that and we have one here. If everybody wants to
Yeah,
go look
you
at it,
brought one here today.
it's right out here. It's
Do they come in? They come in yellow.
You can get them pretty much any color you want. They're all powder coated.
4-seater, 6-seater.
4-seaters, 6-seaters. There are 2-seaters, so you can get the ones, and they are both street legal, not street legal. Just depends on what you want. Obviously, if it's street legal, it's a little more because you got to have blinkers, headlights, taillights, all that kind of stuff on it.
And some speed. How fast do they go?
Up to, if an LSV will go up to 25 miles per hour. The state law doesn't allow them to go over 25.
All right.
So they would be on the island. But go take a look at them. We've got a couple people that have bought already. We've got a couple that we ordered just so people could take a look at them. A 4-seater and a 2-seater. But I'll tell you, it's the best golf cart I've ever driven. It doesn't have all the rattles in it, and that's, they're not the cheapest carts in the world. You're not going to go spend $8,000 and have you're not going to have all the blinky lights on below. Although we can add all that stuff for you, but it's a quality riding cart. He sat in it, sat in the back seat, said
he's a golf cart connoisseur.
Yeah. Well,
Mike
I think
Miller.
we both are. It's the quietest cart. This one we've got all the bells and whistles on it. We got a subwoofer on it. We got the sound.
All right, that was a 30-minute free infomercial about golf carts.
I never do it though.
The state law is 25 miles for a golf cart.
Dear, let it go. Let
up
it go.
to 25 miles per hour, and you
28 on an e-bike. 20.
You can only go on roads up to 35 miles per hour too. You can't go. So like if you go over the bridge, as soon as you go past the base of the bridge, you're illegal.
And the website again is buyexpensivegolfcarts.com. And
when are you going to order your yellow one? We'll help you put it together while you're doing your research, Ed.
I still
we
haven't
can
put
sit down. We'll help you design it.
I still haven't put my office chair together. It's still sitting in the box.
No
in my. I'm hoping that she's on vacation now, that she can do it while she's out killing
But anybody
frogs.
that wants to, we'll start getting our information out there. So anybody wants to take a look at them, just let me know. We can bring it one by and let you take a ride in it.
Yeah, test drives.
Once you drive it, you won't go to anything else. I'll tell you, I've driven just about every golf cart that's out there, and they're nice ones. And the price point is similar to your Easy Go club car Yamahas.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Maybe we'll get a Barbie edition.
Yes, and we got to end the show so I can go home and do my research. More research.
You're going to hear that.
Well, the gym might be open now. You can hit that.
I doubt it.
Do some
you
research.
You want us to call ahead and see if they got more than 75-pound weights there?
I know they do it.
We have to pump you up.
Get out of here. Big hand for the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody. Dan Allers. Yeah, it's always a fun time when Dan comes on. And it's always a much funner time when he leaves. All right, everybody, don't hang up the phone yet. We need to tell you about our wonderful sponsors, including Michael Stewart. Michael Stewart will help you build a structure that actually stands firm forever. It'll stand firm through a storm. It'll stand firm through a little dinky storm like Milton or Helene. And he does structural engineering, residential, commercial, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, everything. And your structure will be good to go for eons and eons. You can go to his website, mstewartpe.com, or you can call him on his cell phone, 239-292-7670. Michael Stewart is a sponsor of our fireworks broadcast on the 4th of July and also the 4th of July parade, which we will be broadcasting from Margaritaville underneath the Jim Adderholt Passover. You know what? When Jim Adderholt passes away, they're going to rename that the Jim Adderholt Walkover or the ferry. If there's ever going to be a ferry, it's going to be the Jim Adderholt Ferry. Tom Coleman is here, everybody, to tell you about his bit.
Good morning. How you doing? So I got one quick question.
Oh.
Do we need to get a hold of the advertisement department for a Scope mouthwash?
What?
Well, because they talk about killing germs.
Yeah. You lost me.
Killing germs.
I see. The whole Captains for Clean Water thing.
Word interpretation.
How long did you work on that joke beforehand?
I sat here through
you
two
should have told me ahead of time.
At two margaritas, I was working on that one. It's all about word interpretation, people.
All
Come
right.
on. Tom Coleman, Eagle Eye Aluminum. We specialize in soffit, fascia, seamless gutters, 6-inch seamless gutters, and rescreen work. At this point, I'm also working with 2 sister companies, and we can do so much more. For those that are on the beach, go to Junkanoo. We're putting a shade structure down there. And
nice. And you did the Hotka House?
And I did gutters on the Hotka House.
You did the Ryan House?
Mm-hmm. I did a few. And we got to do so much more besides what I do directly with Hometown Construction and Designing Spaces. Those 2 companies I work with. we can do so much more. So whatever your needs are, 239-340-1639.
Thank you very much, Tom Coleman, everybody.
Thank you so much. You guys have a
from
great day.
Eagle Eye Aluminum. And finally, our last sponsor of the day, we saved the best for last. I don't mean that negatively toward anybody. I don't want to fight with anybody. Alex King, he creates dreams and elevates lifestyles. Yes, Howie? Come on over. Come on over. Alex King is our final sponsor of the day. Alex creates dreams and elevates lifestyles. He's done the research and the homework, so you don't have to. They're meeting with builders, designers, contractors. He's out there on Facebook. He's out there doing videos. He's probably on that Chinese website, too. What's that called? TikTok? Doing all kinds of videos. He educates you. So give Alex King a call at 239-219-0336. 239-219-0336. Here he is right now, the White Castle King of Fort Myers Beach.
Hello, everybody.
Howie.
I'd just like to announce I have 1,749 miles on my moped that you guys provided me with. And I want to thank the whole town and everybody that listens to Beach Talk Radio.
Thank you, Howie. And Howie,
Good night. God bless. Don't forget to tip the waitress.
good night. What are you talking about? We're just getting started here. And of course, everybody knows Howie runs the softball league at the Bay Oaks. And finally, I just want to remind everybody that we are still looking for American flags to put out for Flag Day, which is next Saturday. So if you go on our website, you can see where you can get on Amazon or you can buy them locally. And you can also claim your section of Estero Boulevard, because the goal is to have flags put out from Bridge, Big Carlos Pass Bridge to Bowditch on Flag Day. And then we're going to have a little ceremony in Times Square with, 4 or 5 veterans of the United States Army, because it is the 250th birthday of the greatest army on this planet. And the town manager, will speak. And then we'll raise the flag at Lynn Hall Park. Salute the flag. I salute you all. Have a great day. We appreciate you coming out, and we'll see you on the Facebook. Bye-bye.